Great. Great time. You just background. I'll just give a shout out to these right now. I
Good morning, everyone. We are 2 minutes away from HBCUs shaping the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Please proceed to the theater to take your seat. Good morning, guests, scholars, entrepreneurs, and change makers. I am Ina Esco, your host for today's symposium. Welcome to HBCU's Shaping the Entrepreneurial Ecosystem, a symposium where innovation, culture, and legacy intersect to shape the future of entrepreneurship. We are proud to bring you this symposium from the historic campus of LeMoyne-Owen College in celebration of the inauguration of Dr. Christopher B. Davis, 14th president of LeMoyne-Owen College. You are in the space where Black excellence meets bold entrepreneurship. Today, we celebrate the vision, resilience, and ingenuity embedded within historically Black colleges and universities and their undeniable role in building and expanding the entrepreneurial landscape. We are proud to be supported by organizations that understand the power of investing in progress. This symposium is made possible through the generous sponsorship of Higginbottom Insurance Agency and FedEx, two institutions committed to empowering bold ideas and the people behind them. Get ready for a day of insight, inspiration, and intentional connection. The future of entrepreneurship is not just arriving, it's being redefined. And it begins right here at LeMoyne-Owen College, Memphis's HBCU. We now welcome to the stage Chair of the Board of Trustees for LeMoyne-Owen College, Mrs. Venetia Belser Kimbrough, Esquire.
Good morning, good morning. Campuses is reshaping economic landscapes in our communities. The innovative thinking, resilience, and determination that defines the HBCU experience are precisely the qualities that are needed to build successful enterprises that will drive our economy forward. It is my privilege to welcome our distinguished panel of HBCU presidents who lead institutions where entrepreneurship isn't just taught, it's lived. I'm especially pleased to welcome our own Dr. Christopher Davis, who tomorrow will be inaugurated as the 14th president of the LeMoyne-Owen College. Joining him are Dr. Herman Felton of Wiley University, Dr. Dewan Warmack of Claflin University, and Dr. Rosalind Artis of Benedict College. These visionary leaders understand that HBCUs don't just educate students. We transform lives, cultivate innovators, and build economic pathways. Each represents an institution with a rich legacy of preparing students not just to participate in existing economic structures, but to reimagine and to rebuild them. The conversation you're about to hear isn't merely academic. It's about the tangible ways our institutions are incubating businesses, fostering innovation, and creating opportunities for wealth generation in communities that have been historically marginalized. We all know a lot about that. As you listen to our panel today, I invite you to consider how you might contribute to this entrepreneurial ecosystem, whether as a student entrepreneur, a mentor, an investor, or a community partner. I want to also recognize my fellow board members, if you all would please stand. Thank you for your service and presence and participation today. At this time, I now turn the floor over to our moderator to guide what promises to be an enlightening and inspiring discussion. Thank you so much. So one of our board members is actually here, Dr. Comer. Where are you at? There you are. I didn't even see you in the audience. That's my good friend. Thank you for coming and always standing in and filling the gaps where we need them and being an excellent leader. And congratulations on your new appointment as president at Lane College.
Well, LOC had a huge impact on me and my entrepreneurial career. That's my foundation. It's just been a part of me. LOC runs through my veins.
It made me want to be that entrepreneur, that I could determine um, how my business was going to run and then be able to employ others to help them as well.
Everybody that works for me and has worked for me in the past is like family.
LOC taught me to treat people the way I want to be treated. They treated me special. They guided me. They nurtured me.
The magician pride that I carry with myself every day is being my authentic self.
My magician pride shows up in my business every single day.
It's never too late to start over again. And it's never too late to live out your dream.
Have patience. Make sure you put God first, and that anything is possible.
I have had some moments. I will never tell you a lie. It's hard work, but I'll tell you this, the reward is so great. I absolutely love what I do.
Treat your friends like family and your family like royalty. Whatever you do, you'll be successful.
Continue to perfect your craft and never forget where you came from.
Just LeMoyne is just home.
What you just witnessed is more than just success stories. These are blueprints crafted by LOC graduates who dare to dream beyond the classroom, who took bold steps into entrepreneurship, and who now lead with vision, excellence, and impact. So as we move into today's conversations, let's carry their stories with us as inspiration, as affirmation, and as fuel. Because the next chapter in this ecosystem is being written by you. As we speak to writing our own stories, we are pleased to introduce to you Mignon Francois. Mignon Francois is a #1 national best-selling author, entrepreneur, and renowned baker who has inspired millions on her journey of going from drowning in debt to building a multi-million-dollar cupcake empire, the Cupcake Collection. She leveraged her $5 to feed her family into a legacy with over 5 million cupcakes sold. Her grassroots story of success has garnered national attention from Today with Hoda and Jenna, Southern Living, Entrepreneur and Business Insider, just to name a few. She is the author of Made from Scratch, Finding Success Without a Recipe, where she shares her story of finding success with no presets in place. Mignon is a sought-after speaker and committed to equipping and empowering people to change the trajectory of their lives. Let's give a warm welcome to Mignon Francois.
Good morning. I'm from Nashville. Well, I'm from New Orleans, but I live in Nashville. And in Nashville, you come to Nashville to sing. And so that's what we're going to do here today, okay? So I want you to join along with me in a song that I bet you know, and it goes like this. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. So one of the things that I want to make sure that I always do in my life is leave the people who experience me feeling joy. And so I hope that I got that out of the way really quick, because as soon as we start singing this little childish song, you started smiling. But we're going to add one little verse to that song. And it's going to be, if you're happy and you know it, shout for joy. And you're going to say, joy, joy. If you're happy and you know it, shout for joy. Joy, joy. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, shout, I declare joy. All right, we're going to practice it. If you're happy and you know it, shout for joy. Joy, joy. If you're happy and you know it, shout for joy. Joy, joy. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, shout, I declare joy. And that's just the way I want it. Give yourselves a round of applause, because that's what we go to Nashville to do, to get a round of applause. I was tasked with the responsibility of the HBCU advantage in this DEI culture. And so I want to take you back to the beginning. In the beginning, God seem like they'll be sexy. All of the equipment in place, money in the bank, skills on hand. But the truth is that in the beginning, for a lot of us, looks like the earth is formless and dark. Our lives are void of real love and empty. Marriage falling apart, not enough money for the month, and my mind on my money and my money on my mind, because this time I can't be late. And darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering. Don't miss this. That same Spirit that hovered over the waters is the same Spirit that is willing and able to hover with you. As you feel like you're drowning in the waters of debt, drowning in your situation, drowning in the reality of the DEI exclusion. That same Spirit knows how to navigate in the dark because he's been there before. And he's getting ready to speak. And God said, let there be light. And it was so. Yep. The light was enough to light the path, just enough light for the step that you're on, to shed light on the way for you to take. So my question for you is, what do you have faith to believe God for? God, I don't know what to do. My life is a mess. We're losing our house. My husband doesn't even like me. How am I supposed to take care of me when he's asked me for a divorce after 21 years of being his wife, their mother, and the manager of this household that doesn't come with pay or benefits if he leaves? How am I supposed to follow that plan? This wasn't the plan, or was it? Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, even if you don't. From Jeremiah 29:11, we learn that God's plan will do 4 things. It will prosper you. It will not harm you. It will give you hope. And it will speak to your future. The key is, he knows, even if you don't. And I was about to find out. In the beginning, in the beginning, in the beginning. Everything starts in the beginning, except God, who has no beginning. But since we're made like God in his image, we start with my story in the beginning. I was just trying to make field trip money. And at 3:17 in the morning, in the dark, God was inviting me and asking me something. I asked him, what could I do to make ends meet? And at 3:17 in the morning, he invited me into a story. At 3:17 in the morning, I'd be looking up at the ceiling for hours, trying to figure out, why was I here? I get up, I check the doors to make sure they're locked. Check my kids, check, 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 to make sure that they're breathing. And then I'd go back and stare at the ceiling until the sun came up. When one day I decided to turn on the TV, one of my favorite things to do was watch TV, and it wasn't something that I stopped my children from doing. I believed in TV in front of homework. I believed in TV at the dinner table. I like TV. And so I decided to turn on the TV, and it was PBS. I believe that PBS has the best programming, especially during fundraising or Black History Month. This was a fundraising season, and the man on the TV came on. He said, "The morning breeze has something to tell you. Do not go back to sleep." And that sounded like crazy to me. I don't know nothing about the morning breeze talking to me. But he said it again. The morning breeze has something to tell you. Do not go back to sleep. So now I'm getting up sleepy and all, looking for a remote to change the channel when he says, God is trying to speak to you, and this is the only time you'll listen. So now you've got my attention. And he said, it's going to take you a week now that you know that God is calling you to an invitation with him. And that sounded like something that I wanted. And he said that this was the only time that I would be silent enough to hear it. So I decided to show up a week later. Even though I had been every morning being awakened, by the time I knew that God wanted to talk, it was just too hard to get out of the bed. But he said if I would just put my feet on the floor, eventually I'd end up in the place that I needed to be. And sure enough, a week later, that's what I did. I ended up on my living room couch, and I said, God, I'm here to hear you speak, but please don't talk. Because if you do, I'm running straight out the door. And I noticed at that moment that there was a Bible sitting under my coffee table. And that's the thing that I understood, so I picked it up and I opened it right where it fell. Chapter 3. And I thought there must be something to this 3:17, because I was waking up as if an alarm was going off to one that was never set. Look over to the right, 3:17. Sometimes I'd hear an alarm that never actually played to wake me up at 3:17. So I traveled down to verse 17, and I got my first indication that God was about to show me that he loved me more than anybody else. And so I began to walk through the whole entire Bible that way. Chapter 3, verse 17, and I read until the sun would come up. And I read every chapter of the Bible all the way to the end, back to the beginning, and I cross-referenced verses looking for everything that I could find. And I journaled every thought that came in that moment. And it was in that time that God gave me all the instructions for what would be the cupcake collection. On one of the very last nights that he awakened me, I found myself in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. And Joshua 1 and 9. And God said, I set life and death before you. Choose life so that your family can live. See, I had had many business ideas before now, but none of them would stick. I started a veil business right after my wedding because I had made my own and people were asking, so I thought I'd start a business with that. A couple months later, people asked me how the veil business is going. Oh, I'm doing something new. Don't you see it? Then I'd start this business covering little books for photos like my mom taught me. And then a few months later, they'd ask me, how's your book business going? Doing a new thing. Don't you see it? Then when I graduated from college, I had been there so long, I got several degrees, and one of them was in communications and photography. So I started a photography business. And even though it was very successful, I didn't stick to that either. And God said at 3:17 in the morning, I'm not giving you nothing else. This will be your last opportunity. So follow every instruction that I've given you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left. Be careful to do everything that I've told you to do here, and then you will be successful. And so I thank you for joining me here today, because I promised God that if he would make me successful, I would tell anybody who would listen about what they could do if only they believed. Someone else's family all day long. And because she was so good at it, she managed her house so well that everything was always covered, even though she was never there. Open your hand. When you keep your hand open, you might lose some things, but it leaves room for God to place something in it. Pull up that much flour, pinch your fingers together, grab that much salt. And my grandmother walked me through her entire recipe over the phone, long distance. Why did it? 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 Why to learn that my hand was a half of a cup. And so I began to apply all the things that my grandmother said, and I wrote them down. Because she didn't have a recipe. But if I was gonna, 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 I was gonna, but if 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 I was, while I could get to the body, I learned to apply it to flour, butter, sugar, and eggs. What I realized in that moment was that what my grandmother was teaching me was chemistry. That these were elements placed in the earth that if 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 from the beginning. So from scratch, I began to take things that I hadn't seen done except for in a really old time. And I took things like sweet potatoes and tomatoes and turned them into cupcakes. What I was doing, as they would tear down one house in my neighborhood and build up 15, I'd go knock on the doors of my new neighbors and say, hey, I've got a bakery coming soon. Now, this was in the hood, and a lot of them weren't familiar with this new area. So I'd knock on their door, and they'd crack the door open. I don't want any. I just came to bring you something. And I'd make these little cupcakes that said, welcome to the hood. And they'd taste them, and they'd come back, and they'd knock on my door, and they ask me, could they pay me money for that? Here is the clue that I want to give you. As they were knocking on my door, asking me, could they pay me money for that? Many days I was in that very house with no electricity because I couldn't afford it. Many days I had to go to the Kroger on Monroe and 8th, which is a few blocks from my house, and buy water to fill up the tub because we didn't have water coming out of our faucet just because we willed it to. And as they would knock on my door and ask me, could they pay me money, I began to get a reputation in the neighborhood. Till my neighbor gets this really big idea one day that she wants to give my cupcakes to all of her clients for the holidays. That was gonna be 600 cupcakes. When she knocked on the door, I was sitting in the dark because I didn't have electricity. And she asked me why I was sitting in the dark. I said, because I'm meditating. Because what happens in my house stays in my house. She said, I'll let you get back to what you were doing, but I want to order cupcakes for all of my clients. She could see the perplexity on my face and decided that I thought this wasn't a good idea. She said, listen, when you give me some, I'll pay you some. When I give you 12, you're going to pay me for 12? Yes. If I give you 24, you're going to pay me for 24? Yes. So when I give you some, you'll pay me for some? Yes. So I closed the door and I accepted the agreement and closed the door. I had been negotiating the last $5 that we had. Inventorying in my pantry the rice and the beans and things from my Louisiana culture that I knew that I could use. I decided to take her challenge and go buy ingredients instead of dinner. But before I did it, I had a come to Jesus moment with God. I said, God, why? Why would you give me this opportunity when I have no money to take it? And God said, but I feed birds. They don't toil or store up in barns. How much more will I give you who looks like me? So there's a reason why I wear tennis shoes. I laced up my tennis shoes and I walked to the store. It was about 3 or 4, maybe 6 blocks away, because by now my cars are repossessed. I had to make decisions sometimes on sending my children to school and fueling my car to get them there, or food, 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 money from 2017 with no debt, no loans, no money, no knowledge, no experience, because those are not things that you need to get you from where you are to where it is that you want to be. Into the tune of over 5 million cupcakes sold. I'll let you figure out the calculations as inflation took my cupcakes from $1.50 to $3.75. It's bona fide millions. Here's my story in a nutshell. I asked God a question. God answered. He gave me instructions. I obeyed them. And here I am. I never needed to know how to bake, not even out of a box. When I know the one that set the atmosphere into place by his words, and those same words keep the earth in orbit today. That same word that placed ingredients into place without ever having made one new element since the beginning of time, and still makes new creations through me today with
Okay, so I just swapped over to streaming directly to the YouTube. Facebook is going to be down, essentially, unless I can get the login info for it during the 10-minute. Cool. Shoot. Dismiss.